East of the Rockies, you're on the air. Hello.
Hi, Art.
Hi.
Great show, as always.
Interesting, anyway.
Yes, it is. My name is Tom, calling... actually, I'm from Skaneateles, New York, but tonight, traveling to Chicago. I'm just about 30 miles north of Green Bay.
Okay.
And let's be on the radio here. I'd like to talk about the invisibility thing.
Let's rock.
Now, if you recall, during President Bush's inauguration, as he was walking to his presidential limousine, a gentleman came out of the crowd and handed him an item, a coin.
I remember, yes.
Now, this gentleman is claiming that he has invisibility powers. Do you recall
right.
that?
Yes, I do.
That's right.
And by God, he got by all of the Secret Service, and they didn't have a clue how he did it, and he claimed he was invisible. You're absolutely right. He's done that with not just this president, but I believe several others.
Yes, that's what I was going to get to next. He also did it with President Clinton. Now, think about it. If this guy didn't have this power, then, I mean, he got through the first time. You would think they'd be watching for him again, right? Wouldn't he be on that list of possibility of danger to the president?
Big time, sir.
So how is it that he does it a second time? There we go with a documented point. I mean, we got video and cameras everywhere. It'd be amazing to really sit back and look at the video and see when he actually appeared. I mean, it's got to be a boom right then and there.
That's incredible. That's incredible. That's right. I had forgotten entirely about that story, and I sort of laughed it off at the time. But he said that he could make himself invisible. That's
right. Now, think about it. With all those cameras, I mean, isn't that an amazing thing? We could go back. I'm quite sure we can get some stock footage, look at it. And it would be really interesting to see right when he, boom, appears right there. We can see it all.
You've got a good point. If the cameras were on that part of the crowd, it would be very interesting to examine it frame by frame and see if suddenly in the crowd, past the lines where he should have been and all the people protecting the president, he just suddenly sort of pops into a frame.
Yes,
I wonder if anybody's actually gone back and studied that.
That's really cool, yeah. Maybe somebody who has, they can call in and check it out. Another thing you were talking about is the mirrors.
Oh, yes.
And with crossing over, contacting people.
Yeah, you heard the guy with the video camera angle, right?
Yeah, and I have a degree in television production, and when he said about the seeing the images in there, if you do it and you look close, now I have all Super VHS equipment. Now with the HD TV equipment, it's even higher resolution.
In fact, so high that you would be looking so much further into infinity.
Right. Absolutely.
Yeah, certainly.
But I'm calling about the invisible guy at the presidential inauguration.
Oh, yes.
I work at a film archive.
Oh, you do?
Yeah. And I was going to volunteer to watch it.
Can you get hold of that footage?
Oh, sure.
You have the footage?
Sure we do.
So then you could really go frame by frame.
Exactly.
And you could look for this guy to appear. And how could he get past the guards and the Secret Service and all the rest of it? The Secret Service was really embarrassed about that.
Oh, I bet. That's a pretty big flaw there.
So you really are volunteering to go through this? And
sure. You said it was at I never heard about it, so it was at the Clinton inauguration and the Bush inauguration?
You know, yes, they did a whole big deal on this. As a matter of fact, they had this man on Crossfire and programs like Crossfire.
Wow.
And he did claim that he could become invisible, and that's how he did it. So, yeah, take a shot for us, would you?
Sure. You don't happen to know, what part of it would be in, because it's 3 or 4 hours long. Like any clue?
Oh, I hear you. No, I personally don't.
Okay.
Let's try and get that from somebody in the audience.
Okay.
Where that was in the ceremony, so you could look.
That sounds good.
Okay, you got it.
Should I call you back or give you an email? Or?
Look, my email address is artbell@mindspring.com.
Okay.
Or AOL.com, either one.
All right, great.
Okay, thanks.
Bye-bye.
Take care. Ooh, somebody willing to actually go frame by frame. All right, then we're going to need a little bit of help. Is there anybody out there who knows offhand in the stock footage, which she can get hold of the inaugural, where and about when in all of that occurred? And I suppose for her in her investigation, it would be perhaps worthwhile if you can go to or get an archive of, say, Crossfire that did a program on that and had the man. Then you'd have his face, which you would need for a reference, right? First-time caller line, you're on the air. Hi.
Hi, Art Bell. Thank you for taking my call. Listen, my name is Mark. I'm in the aspiring actor here in Los Angeles.
Huh.
The reason for I've had a couple of parts, but nothing real important, so I'm still kind of a struggling artist, as they call it. But I'm calling your show because I had my first out-of-body experience, and I was wondering if any of your listeners out there can describe a couple of things that's going on that I'm having a bit of trouble with. I've read about this thing for like 15 years now, and I've always tried it for years and years, and it never...
Just describe what happened to you.
Well, as I got out the first time, I started saying to myself, out of body, I said, wow, this is it. I'm out of body. I've made it. I've done it.
Yeah.
And I started roaming the hallways of the building where I am.
Yeah.
I could walk through all of the things that are made of wood, but I couldn't seem to go through like the solid brick walls or doors.
No kidding.
Right, and I could go through the elevator doors, and as I said, all the wood. But here's something that really, really bothers me.
Yes.
And that is, while I was walking, I saw James Cagney, the old actor.
Really?
Yeah, and I was telling him that I'm an aspiring actor, and I loved his movies, and I'm really into comedies. And he said, well, why don't you go upstairs and talk to Laurel and Hardy? Maybe they can help you out. I'm going over here to a party at the Barrymores. And I started coming back and I'm like, what the world, something like this, right? Well, anyhow, I mentioned that to some of the people that live here in the building, some of the older people, and they mentioned it, I guess, to the manager or somehow or another. They went through the archives. This was like 2 weeks ago, and Tuesday of this week they found out that in this building, James Cagney had in fact lived here. And
you're serious, aren't you? I was sitting here thinking there's a punchline coming to this, but there isn't. You're serious, huh?
No. This is a residential hotel building, and
wow.
Not only did Cagney live here, but the Barrymores spent a few nights here, and Laurel and Hardy. We're on the 8th floor where I am. Laurel and Hardy had a suite up on the 11th floor, and I've only gotten out of body once since then. And there was like this gathering of people out in the hallway with tuxedos on. And I understand that this had been a place where some of the actors would come after the Academy Awards years ago.
Well, I guess you're in the right place. I mean, what I would say then, based on what you've said and what you like to do, I'd do it again. And I'd begin seeking advice. And who knows, you may rocket to the top. What is your first name?
My first name is Randy.
Randy. Not as in the amazing, just Randy. So Randy, I'm going to have to remember your name because one day when it's way up in the lights, I'll know why. We'll all know why.
Wow. Well, if anyone has experienced that out of body or something that they could, some tip that they could give me on how I would go about, can you actually ask these people for it when you're out there like that?
Beats the hell out of me, Randy. I've never done it. But we'll ask the audience, all right?
Thank you. And I didn't mean to give that fake name up front, but I just...
No, it's cool.
Okay.
All right. Thank you very much. Hey, listen, one quick thing.
Yes, sir.
If you ever do make it big, do one thing for me.
And that is?
Use the name Randy.
The Amazing.
No.
No?
Oh, hell no.
Okay.
No. Just use the name somehow Randy, all right?
Okay, I sure will.
All right, then we'll know. Thank you very much for the call. Pretty interesting, huh? Who am I to say? Fascinating.
East of the Rockies, you're on the air. Good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Bell. It's a pleasure to talk to you.
And to you. What is your first name?
My first name is Bill.
Okay, Bill.
And I'm calling from Dallas, listening to KLIF.
Of course, the mighty Cliff.
Well, I have kind of, I don't know if this was an incredible hoax or what exactly happened, but this goes back to 1991. And I'm an attorney and had an appointment to write a will. And a lady comes in, elderly lady, just as sweet as could be. I mean, she was like everyone's grandmother. And
so you do will and probate work?
I do some, yeah. It's not my primary work, but
at least some of it. And if somebody comes to you for something like that, I guess you know.
Yeah, if it's not real complex with a lot of testamentary wills and testamentary trusts and things like that, then yeah, I used to do quite a bit. But anyway, this lady came in. She had an appointment. Said that she'd never written a will before, and that she was going on a trip, and that she'd never flown, and she thought it'd be a good idea to write a will, and which is pretty common.
Sure.
And so she told me that her husband had died several years before. Really didn't have a very big estate. Had a house and a car, and a little bit of savings. And she listed her oldest son as executor and basically left the estate equally to her children.
Mm-hmm.
Saying nothing about it. So anyway, it took a couple of days to do the will, and she said she was in a hurry because she was going on a trip. And she came back in, and in Texas you have to have at least 2 witnesses to do a will, and so the paralegal and secretary came in, with a notary, and she executed it. And I asked her some questions about being of sound mind, and she was just real bubbly. I mean, she was just as nice and sweet as could be. And so kind of liked her. Anyway, didn't think anything about it. Gave her the original will and put the other one in the file. And then several months later, I get a call from another attorney.
Yes.
And said he was representing this estate. And I said, "Oh, did she pass away?" Because I remembered her. And he said, "Yeah." He said, "But we're having a real problem with this with your will." And I said, "Well, what's the problem with it?" And he said, "Well, you executed it 3 days after she died."
Oh my God.
And
You're sure?
I didn't know if it was an incredible hoax because this woman was not a ghost.
You're sure about the date that you put on the will?
Absolutely, because you have a notary, and of course I have a appointment book, and it's pretty well documented.
Well, oh my. So I'm curious how this. As time went on, I mean, did this ever reach a courtroom, for example?
Well, the estate was, and it did. In fact, I had to go talk to the judge about it because really they thought I'd made an error or it was a bogus will. And basically, I talked to the probate judge and just told him this lady came in, and I assumed that's who she was. And
oh God.
But quite frankly, she really didn't need a will because it wasn't that complex, so they didn't really have to do an estate. I think they actually transferred the property by doing.
Well, now I'm curious. Now the lady, the older lady who had appeared to you, sir. Surely, as time went on, you were able to get a description of this lady who had died.
Oh yeah, I mean, it matched perfectly. Even the demeanor. I mean, because I described how she acted, and they said, "Well, yeah, that sure seemed like her."
Oh, brother.
And, of course, I never saw her again, so it was, like I said, at first I thought someone had played an incredible joke on me.
Yeah.
But I don't think it was, I don't know. It's hard to say.
The judge, did he have fun with you on this one?
Well, actually, he said he'd had it happen before.
Oh. I'll tell you, boy, you get on this program and ask for stories, and you do not get disappointed. Thank you very, very much.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, take care. All right, so there's an attorney who did a will for a lady who strolled into his office. Trouble was, she had died 3 days earlier. God.
One of our most our usual cases was from almost 20 years ago out in Sunland, and a woman was seeing what she thought were apparitions. Objects moving about the house on their own, typical ports, as we call them.
Right.
Things disappearing and reappearing,
right.
Strange pounding, banging noises. And I said, when did it begin? She goes, well, I was walking in the canyon when I taking a little stroll, and I saw a big glowing dish, like a disc. And from there on it proceeded where these like humanoid apparitions were, harassing her. And the end result was she disappeared. We don't know where she went. Her kids couldn't find her. We couldn't find her. But there was no evidence of foul play. Nothing was taken.
Wow.
No break-in, no money gone. Her car was there. Clothes were there. It's things like that. And an executive at a local television station had a poltergeist outbreak. We didn't experience it, but we interviewed the people. We felt it was a good case. And many months later, he was taking a vacation up north in California. They saw what they thought was a meteorite about to hit the ground. They followed it, and they saw a UFO landing, and they were abducted. But it began with a poltergeist.
It began with a poltergeist, yeah.
Now, what is going on? And what does this tell us about the nature of the phenomena? Is having an encounter with one, like having an encounter with a UFO, would suddenly make you more likely to be psychic or very sensitive? Or if you're psychically sensitive, does that increase your probability of running into a UFO?
Well, I say the answer is yes. And I say it is all interconnected.
Yes.
And I say when we discover this interconnection, if we do, it's really going to be a shocker what it's all about.
What if we found out that the future in some form already exists, that the information that makes it up can be accessed anywhere, anytime, and that the future is as much fixed as the past is fixed? It's just that we can't see it.
I don't even think we could handle that.
Right. And
because that would mean that we were all sort of marionettes walking around on a stage.
Except that we don't know what's going to happen from moment to moment, day to day. So we assume
not now.
Free will.
Not now.
Right.
That's right.
And what if we learned that that we're one of many experiments by some other civilization that decided to pepper the universe with numerous diversified life forms?
Yeah. That free will is just a joke on us.
That power, money and power simply gives one the illusion of control.
Oh, hear, hear. Sticking my neck out as usual. On my alien line, you're on the air.
Good evening, Art.
Hello, are you an alien?
Yes, I am.
Now, where are you from?
Right now I'm visiting in Arizona, but I'm actually from the Rigel system.
And how? Let's see where to go with this. How and why are you here?
It started out about 50 years ago as a not as a cultural exchange, but as a kind of a research thing to find out what your culture is about, what's going on here.
What have you learned?
You guys are in trouble. Basically, that the human race is in serious trouble. You're letting too many criminals go free. You're not dealing with them. For example, that Susan Smith case, if that had happened on our home world, she would have been put to death on the spot.
You have capital punishment there?
Yes, we do.
Somehow, most humans would have thought that aliens would have somehow progressed past the concept of a life for a life or something of that sort. But you're saying it's the very same thing on your planet.
Yeah, sir, we did about 100 years ago. We had this liberal phase we went through, and crime went up through the roof, and it did not work. It was obvious.
You mean liberalism is not common to only this planet? It infests the rest of the solar system and the cosmos?
Well, we had it. We got rid of it because, like I said, the crime just went through the roof, and people just eventually they woke up and, as you say, smelled the coffee and put the death penalty back into effect.
So you guys even have coffee?
Well, we did after we found Earth.
Are you going to remain here for the rest of your days, or?
Not really. I'm right here on a mission. I'm set here to gather up artifacts.
Artifacts. Now,
yes.
That could mean a lot of things, including some of us.
No. We don't take people. We just things. The way we do it, we just we go to the store. See, we look human enough that we wouldn't stand out in a crowd.
If now let me delve into this. This is very interesting because there are a lot of people say there are aliens here that look very much like humans with very subtle differences. How can I tell when I see one of you?
Well, you really wouldn't be able to tell by looking. It would have, if you had the equipment to do a DNA analysis, and you might then, if you had a skin sample or something, you might know, hey, there's something not right here.
All right. Having criticized our judicial system now, what is to become of us? I mean, are your people going to take action? Are you going to just monitor Earth, or what are you going to do?
Well, right now it's just a sit back and watch thing and collect. Like I said, when I'm in artifacts, I just had some friends of mine went back. They took back a couple.
What do you guys like? Bangles, beads?
No, we a lot of samples of your technology and your literature. We've got. We take back books. Anytime a new book is released, we try to take a copy back. Some people I know headed back with the Windows 95. The people back home wanted to play with that.
All right, sir. Thank you. There you go. It figures. Windows 95 has already made it to another planet. I hope Bill Gates heard that.
But I want to read you this email that I got and reference my website. I've received many suggestions about what this might be, but nobody's totally sure. Here it is. Dear Art, this creature, and we've got photographs of whatever in the hell it is, this creature squirmed out of the bullet hole of a freshly killed pika here in Montana. We don't know what it is. My son went camping out at Monarch and hiked several miles into the woods with his friends. Late at night, they heard something out in the brush, and having a .22 with them, loaded it, got flashlights out, and started looking toward where the noise was coming from. They spotted the pika, shot it one time in the abdomen. They then took it and sat it on a flat rock and kept the flashlights trained on it, thinking that something else might come to check the dead pika out. Soon they noticed this, in quotes, creature wiggling out of the bullet hole and grabbed a cup, and once it was out of the pika, put it in the cup with some water. Now this, again in quotes, creature has a stinger at the slender end of its body that would stick in and out like a wasp, and mouth parts with grabbing teeth at the fat end. Yuck. It had no eyes that we could see. It also had in the mouth part 2 holes in the mouth. I assume one hole for a throat and the other for bringing fluids up to the grasping area. This creature was alive and not moving very much when I saw it the first time, until I suggested they put it in warm, not hot water, just warm. When my son put it in warm water, that thing came alive big time. It was moving around like crazy, and seeing that the warm water made it think it was inside another animal and looking for something to attach its mouth to. If any of your listeners, substitute that for readers, can identify this thing, that would be great. The creature's dead now, we think, and the pics I have do not show the stinger. I wasn't about to get my fingers anywhere near that thing to take pictures of it with my cam, with that stinger and mouth going like it was. By the time they brought it back to me, it had died. Saw many movies where those things come alive and attack the amateur scientist. Yeah, he's right. He's absolutely right. So we got this email up along with the photographs. Take a look. Anytime anything crawls out of a bullet hole, it gets my attention. Yuck. I mean, you shoot something and you expect it to be dead. You do not expect things with big teeth to be crawling out of the bullet hole. So that's up on my website now under What's New, entitled From Listener, The Creature. Well, maybe it's something well known, but I sure don't know what it is. A wild card line, you're on the air. Hello.
Yes, sir. This is Jeremy from Texas.
Hello, Jeremy.
Yeah, I was calling, and I saw the I was listening to the show the other night, and I saw the rabbit on the creature thing.
Are you talking about what I've got up on the website?
Yeah.
The creature?
Yeah, I know exactly what that is.
And what do you think that is?
It's a wolf. They're like parasites that get on rabbits in the summertime. They get on cottontail rabbits.
But hold on a second. Why would this crawl out of a bullet hole?
Well, they get in there, and I know they get out. I've seen them 1,000 times. We've killed all kinds of rabbits and have them all over them.
And you've seen them crawl out of bullet holes?
Well, no, but we've skinned the rabbits and seen them all over the rabbits.
Oh, yuck. Well, that's all I have to say is yuck. I mean, when I shoot something, I don't want to see anything crawl out of the hole at all.
Yeah, it gets pretty rough, I guess, but I mean,
totally gross.
Sometimes in the summertime, you like from May to about June, you don't really shoot the cottontails because they got them all over them.
Yeah, yuck. All right, sir. Thank you very much. If that's what it is, that's what it is. I don't know. All I know is if I shoot something, I damn well don't want to see anything living, particularly with big teeth, crawling out of the bullet hole.
In 1976, I worked for a company that did hydrodynamic testing of scale models of ships, breakwater, harbor facilities, and so forth. I'd photograph these small-scale tests using a high-speed 16-millimeter camera and a very fast stroboscopic light source. This device was called StroboCam. And I worked by myself in the lab test facility with the door locked during the test runs to prevent distractions. On many films, I found strange shadows in the background moving at various speeds. Images would vary depending on the strobe frequency. I showed these at meetings of the scientists who did the math for these projects. I was just a technician who ran the tests and the camera. The scientists were mystified by these things. In an otherwise empty building, they never showed films with shadow images to the clients. I called these negative men and formed a theory that the Earth coexists with a negative version of itself. The two normally do not interact, but under certain frequencies of pulsing light, the negative men, his words, who normally transmit light like glass or air, become visible because wavefronts and interference patterns occur that make their negative body absorb the light. The result is a 3D silhouette. They are human-shaped black holes, and they walk like a man. The pulse rate of light needed to see them seems to vary with their speed of movement. Gosh, isn't this interesting? In 1978, I had a meeting with the producers of the original In Search of TV series. We discussed building a StroboCam and doing a show about negative men. The project got postponed, and I was then hired to work on the notorious UFO documentary, UFOs It Has Begun. I spent the next 20 years doing special effects works for films, including filming the Black Spirits for the film Ghost, the design of which was originated in a meeting where I described the negative men as my idea of what the evil spirits ought to look like. We actually used a form of StroboCam to film those scenes, and they are probably the closest thing to Shadowpeople to ever appear in a major studio motion picture. Some of our footage actually did have unaccounted for shadows in the background. With the resurgence of interest in Shadowpeople, I'm considering building another StroboCam and trying to film them once again. I still have my notes on camera settings, filters, frame rates, strobe speeds, and it should be helpful in zeroing in on the magic frequency to look into the shadow world. Perhaps even a stroboscopic webcam is possible. Robert. Now you see why I could not resist reading this to you? Yikes. Robert, send me a phone number right away. I returned the email and said, send a phone number, Robert. So now I'm saying on the air, send a phone number, Robert. First-time caller line, you're on the air. Hello. Hello? Going once?
Hey, Art.
Hey, yes?
Cool voice changer, huh?
Well,
That's $59 I ever spent.
Yeah, it's a voice changer, all right, but it's not changed enough to really sound cool. Oh, my God. Now it's too cool. You... You called your mother with this on Mother's Day?
Yeah, it was fun.
That's about the coldest thing I've ever heard of.
Well, she got a dozen roses alongside of it, so.
God, you...
Thanks a lot, Art.
Goodbye.
Bye-bye.
Who would call their mother with that on Mother's Day? Happy Mother's Day, Mom. Yeah, and Mom's lying on the floor and the paramedics are coming in. Sheesh. Happy Mother's Day, Mom. I'm coming back to see you soon.
Well, this is about invisibility, and I was at a party. This was New Year's Eve, year 2000.
Big one.
And it happened, and it's very unusual, it happened at midnight. And there were a group of about 10 or 12 of us at this party, and we were in the kitchen, and I was talking to the hostess's brother.
Right.
We were standing against the wall and just chatting, and I was about a foot away from him, no more than that. And people were taking pictures, and someone took our picture while we were talking. It was with a Polaroid.
Right.
And we kept talking. I didn't pay too much attention to what the picture was turning out like. But when the picture got developed, I wasn't even aware it was already developed. I heard a commotion around the kitchen table.
Yes.
And everyone was going, "Oh my God, I can't believe this. I can't believe this." And
what?
They kept saying my name. So I turned around and I said, "What's going on?" And Sarolta, who's a friend of mine who was the hostess of the party, and I was standing talking to her brother, said, "You're not in the picture. You disappeared." I said, "Come on." And I thought they were joking.
Yes.
And they said, "No." And they were all dead serious. Their mouths were hanging open. And I went over and looked, and I said, "Oh, my God, I wasn't there." You could see the wall behind me.
Did anybody, most specifically the person having the conversation with you, notice that anything at the time when the picture was snapped?
No, but there is one unusual thing that I don't know if this has anything to do with it or not. No one noticed me disappearing. I was just not there on the photograph.
Huh.
It was a big space where I was supposed to, just empty space, and he was talking to this empty space with the wall.
In other words, everything was there as it should have been in the photograph,
right.
The wall and whatever
right.
you normally would have blocked by being there.
Right. The only thing that we thought it might have been is I collect antiques, and I had purchased a ring, and this ring I got it from an archaeologist, and it's close to about 2,000 years old. And it was dug up in Europe in a place called Moesia at one time. Somewhere in Europe.
Okay.
The ring has unusual symbols on it. It's bronze. And I don't know what these symbols are. We thought maybe it had something to do with the ring. We weren't sure.
Well, have you had any other experiences while wearing that ring?
No, I haven't. Not while wearing that ring. But I was never photographed before wearing the ring either. So, I turned out in all the other photographs, just not this one. And this was right at midnight.
Right at 2000.
Yeah.
Interesting story. Well, stick around. Take care. That would be a little unnerving if somebody came up with a Polaroid and snapped a picture of you and somebody else, only the space where you were supposed to be is totally empty in the photograph.
What is your problem?
Who are you referring to?
Well, everyone you've spoken to. The poor guy who called about the airliner being down.
Yes.
And he
asked me, I believe he asked me, sir, if this latest statement didn't blow Richard Hoagland's theory out of the water. And I said no, because it was not a determination. It simply is how they are leaning. Now, where did you detect rudeness in that?
Oh, well, I thought that was a reasonable response, but when the poor guy said it was a doctor so-and-so, and you said, well, I thought he was a doctor, and he said, no, sir.
He is not a doctor. That is correct.
Well, as if there's something wrong with the guy. You could simply, the idea there was that you were so rude to him. As far as the rest of the conversation.
No, I corrected him. I said he is not a doctor. Richard Hoagland indeed is not a doctor, medical or otherwise, has no doctorate, and so the title is inappropriate.
Well, yeah, I can understand that, but
well, where do you see rudeness in that?
Well, I don't think there was a case for putting the guy down.
I didn't, sir. I didn't. I did not. I simply corrected him.
Yeah, and then on the Randy Weaver thing, after you told the guy that you didn't offer opinions about these things, then you turn right around and say, my opinion has always been about the Randy Weaver case. It was thus and so.
That is correct.
Yeah, but you put down the first guy. The second time.
No, I didn't put him down. I did not put anybody down, sir. I corrected him. That's it.
And then when it came to the guy who was calling about the white supremacists, you were rude and patronizing to the poor guy. He was just.
He asked me whether I thought the white supremacists were going to take over the country, and I said no.
Yeah, I felt that.
In what way do you see rudeness there?
Well, it's your tone and your spirit. Rod, Mr. Bell, you give the impression that somehow an innocent question is a stupid thing to do.
Well, I'm sorry you take it that way. I didn't feel that way about it. You took it that way, apparently. I don't feel that way about it.
Coming across. You also on the question about the web page, the fellow just asked a simple question. Sir, we're doing the best we can.
That's what I said.
As if he didn't think you were.
We probably have more information out, newsletter-wise and on the web, than anybody I know of, as a matter of fact.
Well, yeah, but all you have to do is tell him that in a nice way.
I thought I did.
Comment about Farrakhan, the poor guy simply, you cut him off.
You're incredible.
Yeah, you're incredible. Unbelievable. First time I've ever heard you, but I was just tuning in and I thought, holy smokes, I don't know what this guy's problem is, but he's going to put down everybody who calls. That's a way of insulting everyone. So I don't believe I'll be tuning in anymore.
Well, in that case, have a good night.
Yes, good night.
See you later. Wildcard line, you're on the air. Hello.
Oh, I'm on.
It would appear so.
Hey, I've got a suggestion for a guest.
Do you? Where are you?
I'm in Sacramento Valley.
Okay.
But I wanted to commend you first about the kind of show you have. I'm glad there's somebody willing to step outside of the kind of restricted.
Yeah, that's me.
Sanitized, stereotypical,
boring
show that you hear all the time.
I know. They're all the same. It's like they came out of some little cookie cutter thing, and somebody said, here's what you got to do on talk radio. Boom, better do that. That's your road to success.
Yeah, well, I think probably most of them would probably call you a kook.
They do. They do. Or
the ultimate dismissal of all, which is conspiracy theorist.
Oh, they do. They do.
And
I don't care.
So anyway,
See, that's what they don't understand is I don't care. I hear it all the time from my colleagues in talk radio. They're going nuts, and they make jokes and stuff when people call and mention my name. That's okay. I don't care. I really don't.
Anyway, so I really like to try and find as many, I guess, unconventional sources as possible.
Me too.
But anyway, there's a lot of people I could mention. Might be guests, but
give me your top choice.
Pardon me?
Top choice.
Have you ever interviewed Maury Terry?
No, I don't even know who he is. Who is he?
He's an author and reporter. He wrote a book called The Ultimate Evil.
Oh.
Have you ever heard of that?
Sounds good. So far, The Ultimate Evil.
The Ultimate Evil, yeah. Well, he was investigating the Son of Sam case.
Oh, yes.
In New York way back
when.
Oh,
yes.
And what he discovered was, despite the official police version that David Berkowitz was the lone guy,
mm-hmm.
he found out that actually there was a number of people involved in the killings, and they belonged to a satanic cult, and the murders were actually ritual murders. And and that there's this kind of a network of cults.
All right, you've got me hooked. That's enough. That's enough. All I need is a way to contact this person.
Okay, well, I just sent you something in the mail today, and I really don't know exactly how to contact him, but
that's always the problem.
But I do know that in the book, he mentioned that he was in contact with Steve Dunleavy of the New York Post and several other news people, and I wrote that down in my letter.
I could probably get hold of Steve. That I could do. All right, sir, thank you very much. And I would like to urge any of you who want me to have a guest on to take pity on me and try and include some kind of contact information. I book all my own guests. Nobody does that for me. I book my own. Because there's really, I often wonder about other talk show hosts and how they do that. You know, they have some producer who's booking guests for them, and how does the producer really know what the talk show host wants to do? I've frequently wondered about that. I don't do it that way, and maybe there is some sort of camaraderie that develops between the host and the producer anticipates what the host wants. But I've just never been comfortable with letting anybody else do that kind of thing for me. So I usually talk to my guests beforehand and see if they're the kind of people that you would enjoy. And that gives you about an 80% success rate, and then about 20% of them get on the air and are total bombs. But at least when you do it yourself, you know, most of the time it works out.